Good morning, students. After completing the product research, we'll move forward to motivational research. So, what are the significance of motivational research? Significance means importance. Importance of motivational research. So, basically, we should understand what is a motivational research. Motivational research is a systematic analysis of motives behind consumer decision, used especially by advertisers, marketers to assess attitudes towards product and service. So the two key terms here is systematic analysis of motives and to assess attitude. So this basically we do motivational research is to understand why these people react like this, why they are doing so, why customers are behaving like this, what are the basic motives because of motive behind their each behavior or consumption pattern, why the product is not going well or is going very well, what are the in what are the in what unknown motives which make this product well versed with the customers, and these are basically used by advertisers and marketers to assess the attitude towards the product and service. This attitude can be positive or negative. So this is basically what is motivation research. The research used to investigate the psychological reason why individual buy specific types of merchandise or why they respond to specific advertising appeals. To determine the base of brand choices and product preferences has gained significance with increasing competition and growing awareness of consumers. So basically we really want to know why, that is psychological, we are investigating the psychological reason why the particular individual behave like a particular manner towards a particular merchandise. Okay. So, one of the important significant of motivation research is to know the hidden motives. Motivational research methods are aiming to bring out and comprehend what the consumers do not fully understand about themselves. Even we really don't know why do we behave in a particular manner at a particular what instant or at a particular situation or towards a particular product. We really don't know. Sometimes we are very much interested in colors, okay, fabric colors, like most people will be going for black. What is the basic motive behind people going for black? Most of them, mainly people in their teenage or maybe in 25 to 40 years anyways, or ladies or gents prefer black t-shirt or black gowns, most of them, at most of the time. Why is it so? This, there is some intrinsic motives, there is some motives behind the selection of a color, also in a a collection of colors of fabrics also. Okay, most of them prefer black. Maybe the positive thing is that the black make them look more slim. Their projected all these overweight things can be, we can hide all those things in black. It won't get annoying. We look more slim and we are more confident internally by making looking more slim. We basically inherit the quality of being self confidence. Okay, so these are some of the basic intrinsic factor which we really don't know by ourselves, but it is inside us. These are the motives behind which people comes for black or some fabric colors according to their situations. So, drivers of consumption. Motivational research method attempt to identify various forces, factors which influence, drive consumers of which they may not be aware of them exactly. That is cultural factor, sociological forces, etc. Motivational research is most valuable when powerful underlying motives are suspected of exerting influence upon consumer behavior. The product and services that relate to attraction of opposite sex, to status or self-esteem, to power, to death, to fear or of social taboos are all likely candidates for motivational research. All these are the important factors where we do study our motivational research, and the example is given below. Like, why do women tend to increase their expenditure on clothing and personal products such as shampoos, hair dyes, and other facial related cosmetic at their approach of age of 50 to 55? We can see people of the ladies of that age group is more modern. They put more heavily on their own expenses. Why is it so? There can be two types of reasoning for that. The first one is they want to look more younger. By using all these cosmetics, anti-aging creams, underline dark circles, removal of underline dark circles, all these things comes after the age of 45 or something. You and also dyeing the coloring the hair and everything. Okay, and these type of people will get attracted to all these product when they are of the age of 50 or 55. Why is it so? Because people want to look more younger and attractive to the opposite sex. And also there are also some other thing is also there. At the age of 50 and 55, actually their disposable income increases. Actually they have everywhere settled the kids somewhere, and also there are all other are like loans and all must be repaid. They have money for themselves, so they start spending for themselves. These can be two reasons. These are assumptions. Two reasons for increasing the use of these products for the women in the age group of 50 to 55. Similarly, people tend to, as I told you before, buy fabric colors, different fabric colors. These are all examples. These are all the factors which we really don't know. At the age of 55, or the maybe we be looking for putting or more shampoos in the hair, and all this comes with, due to these all motives. And about this Kellogg's cornflakes, it's determined how, that's the cultural factor. Okay, the Kellogg's have introduced this into the India, but actually, and they have considered this as a breakfast cereal. But how do you think it's a big hit here? No, because Kellogg's accordingly, Kellogg's and samely McDonald's, everything. Kellogg's means we have to put cold milk over it and have to have instant breakfast. Instant breakfast is okay, people like it because all are very busy here, but having to put this cold milk into it is a tragedy, because people used to want to have some hot thing in the morning. In India, okay, people do have their black teas or their what chud dosha, idli, everything and all, but they can't imagine having cold milk and Kellogg's in the same as for an instant breakfast. Similarly, McDonald's, after introducing their beef stuffed buns, it's very difficult for them to implement it in India because we have cultural factors. So they have developed paneer stuffed, we have developed vegetable stuff, all those different types of stuffings which cannot which does not interfere with their taste buds also. So these are some of the drivers, some of the researchers, motivational research, which should be studied by the marketers before introducing a product into the market. Now, let us check what are the tools of research. The motivational research methods are predominantly undertaken through unstructured exploratory methods, such as these are the unstructured exploratory method, data collection, which all are the observation, focus group, and depth interviews. So, how do we do our observation? Observation can be a fruitful method of deriving hypotheses about human motives. Observation can be accomplished in person or sometimes through convenience of video. Observation person ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ചിലപ്പം കംപ്ലൈൻറ്റ് കൊടുത്തെന്ന് വരും, ബിക്കോസ് ദ പേഴ്സൺ ഇസ് ടോക്കിംഗ് അറ്റ് us. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ തുറച്ചു നോക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ തന്നെ ഒബ്സർവ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കാൻ വി ഗെറ്റ് അവെയർ മീൻസ് വി ഗെറ്റ് മോർ കോൺഷ്യസ്, we get more tensed, we don't do our natural behavior. So it's better we do with some electronic media rather than personal, and also it's very costly. Usually personal observation is too expensive. It is easier to observe consumers in buying situation than in their homes, and here the observation can be in person or by video cameras. Generally, video cameras are very less intrusive than an in-person observer. Yes, video cameras just record what is going on. They don't go into deep into what are all they doing. They don't go deep in like that. Finding a representative set of cooperative stores is not very easy, and installation and maintenance is also not very easy, but we do electronic observation. Observation must be supplemented by focus group or depth interview to fully understand why consumers are doing what they do. So but just by observation we don't get any result. Okay, after observation it's very necessary that we do have a focus interview group or a focus group or depth interviews to understand complete understanding of the motive behind such behavior of the consumers. So we all know what is focus group. We have already gone through it. It is conducted by a skilled moderator. If a focus group is non-directive nature, it makes use of full motivational potential as the group may show spontaneous interaction among its members. It is mutually reinforcement within the group that produce the revelation and behavior that reveals underlying motives. Reinforcement one supports the other. Okay, we support each other. We have a full discussion on, and if it is not directional, but we have to, that is moderator should make it focused. If it is not focused in particular one behavior, then we have a wide scope of discussion over that. That is the focus group. Next is depth interview. A depth interview is lengthy and one-on-one personal interview conducted directly by motivational research with the respondent. There are some conditions while we do this depth interview. Much of the power of the depth interview is dependent upon the insight, sensitivity, skill of moderator, skill of the researcher. We have should get some connection. After that only depth interview works properly. The interviewing task cannot be delegated to traditional marketer because without any training. So in depth interview can be done only by people who have special type of psychological training. So here, during the personal interview, the motivational researcher strives to create an empathetic relation with each respondent and a feeling of rapport, mutual trust and understanding. Always a researcher must be a good listener. We should not interrupt what they say. We should not stop them in the middle and interact our viewpoint into them. So this is how we have to have an empathetic relation. We should make them feel very comfortable and happy, and we should have a mutual trust that you can trust me, that type of feeling. Everything should be imparted to the customer. Then only we will have a good depth interview process. The researcher creates a climate in which respondent feels free to express his feeling and his thoughts without fear or embarrassment or rejection. The researcher conveys a feeling that the respondent and his opinions are important and worthwhile, no matter what those opinions are. The motivational researcher is accepting, non-threatening and supportive. The emotional empathy between motivational researcher and respondent is the single most important determinant of an effective interview. That is, motivational researcher respondent തമ്മിലുള്ള emotional empathy ആണ് gives the correct detail for depth interview. Okay, you must have seen some audio clips or video clips regarding racism and our products. Fair and lovely, ഇതൊക്കെ നിങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരിക്കും. The use of fair word. A fair girl will only be successful. Some very interesting interpretation of advertisement had happened in our all these critic evaluation sessions, like the successful IAS is looking more glowing when compared to the person who is giving her a flower, a bouquet. Okay, and both are smiling at the camera and we are having a click there. A successful IAS, a budding IAS officer from the same college, and they are giving a ceremony. They are given a ceremony, appreciation ceremony, and another girl is giving a bouquet to her, and a click is taken where you can see the glowing girl and also the other girl which is much darker. And this is this thing for what? This is a advertisement for Fair and Lovely or some product like that which make people get more fairer, skin lighter. So these type of advertisement, actually what they are doing it, actually this is just a glimpse, a photograph they're taking. They both are smiling and taking a photograph. This is just a glimpse, but actually what they're imparting in our mind is that glowing skin will get more successful. For getting more success, we should be looking more very glowing. A glowing skin have a self they are more they are more happy, and they are also very confident, and all these things goes to glowing skin. These are all the imparted factors which comes into the mind of a customer which look that advertisement. Similarly, we have fog. You must be very much aware of the fog advertisement, that is for normal guys, where Vogue advertisement shows what a very normal guy and very beautiful girls get attracted towards towards that particular brand or something or anything. Okay, so these are the things they are imparting, like we're using Vogue, you will look smarter, smart ladies will look forward to you. All these things are the things which are inside of us, which comes out, that makes us have a feeling, a complex. First one gives a complex that we are darker, and that from that complex they are having that that product sell. They're giving us the feel that we are dark and they're selling the product. Okay, the next one that is giving the man, I mean the male category, that they are not capable of attracting a female, a good looking female, by their normal behavior, but you should use Vogue to attract young beautiful girls. These are the things which are the complex which they create in our mind and sell their product. So understanding all this is a motivational research, and depth interview helps us to understand maybe our complexes, our fears, everything, and maybe they may promote them. They will develop product by using all these internal feelings of us which we really don't know by ourselves, but this is the unconscious feelings. So next is projective techniques. They play an important role in what, you know what is projective techniques, Alay? Sometimes a respondent sometimes a respondent can see in others what he cannot see or will not admit about himself. We ask them to have a role play, we ask them to have a situation, how do they react, maybe something had happened in their background, we don't really know how they're going to react. This may be not a conscious effort, unconsciously sometimes the situations come in play that we really react to what our unconscious mind wishes to react to. So the motivational researcher often asks the respondent to tell a story, play a role, draw a picture, complete a sentence, or associate words with a stimulus. Photographs, product samples, packages, and advertisement can also be used as stimuli to evoke additional feelings. Like we'll have Sunsilk, or we'll have okay, anyway, Sunsilk sachet. What we give? It's a silky hair. Eli. Dough gives a smooth skin. All these things are the things which comes into mind. Front edge coverage, and after if we go deep to all these things, we can feel that even if we are asked to play a role play for a product which gives a soft skin, maybe we'll be first going forward with a problem which we identify, that is, I'm getting rough, or my hands are getting rough, my husband is not getting attracted to me, or my children is not feeling that I am beautiful. All these are the intrinsic feelings. Okay, you can see in some types of advertisement, you can see it. Okay, all these things are that is the thing which we give out for role play, sentence formation, association, word association, and all these things. During the interview, the researcher watch for clues that might indicate that the sensitive nerves has been touched. Sometimes we sigh, sometimes we pause, sometimes we think before we speak. These all things are noted by these researchers, and they know that these are the real points where which I need go deeper into it. Long pause by the respondent, slip of a tongue, sometimes it comes out, fidgeting, variation in voice pitches, sometimes we get very emotional and our voice get disrupted, strong emotions, sometimes we get very excited, facial expression, eye movement, everything. That if you are lying means we'll go to look towards left, if you're thinking means we move towards the right, upwards, and everything. All this, my movements, avoidance of question, fixation of an issue, body language are some of the clues which these researchers look when they are giving this projective techniques. These sensitive topics and issues are then focused to of additional inquiry and exploration later in the interviews. Now after this, each interview is tape recorded and transcribed. A typical motivational study consists of 30 to 50 depth interviews, about 1000 to 2000 pages of typed verbatim dialogues. We have different dialogues. During the interview, motivational researchers make notes about the respondent's behavior, mannerism, physical appearance, personality characteristics, and non-verbal communication. The notes become a roadmap to help researcher to understand and interpret the verbatim transcript of interview. ഇനി നമ്മൾ ഈ എടുത്ത project, like we have a content, how do we do analyze this content? The motivational researcher reads and rereads hundreds of pages of verbatim respondent dialogues. How they have responded, reads, that are the dead job. As she reads, the researcher looks for systematic pattern of response. Same questions answered in different mode in the first beginning will be answered to a particular, narrowed down to a particular type of answer at the end of the session. That is, a motivational researcher does not ask question randomly. He have a pre-planned session, how to create it, how to start it, how to in the middle, how will we finish it. Everything is pre-planned, even if they are having an empathetic relation or they are having a good relation or trustworthy, everything is happening. But basically what this person is actually doing is he just convert the blurred answer into a focused answer at the end of the session. She identifies logical inconsistencies or apparent contradictions. How they have contradicted? First they have stated yes, white looked neat. Next it said white is not that neat. Second one, white is bloody red. Like that, maybe some intrinsic, some psychological factors or some experience which had happened in the past may interrupt their last stage of answering. This is how they look into it. She identifies logical inconsistent or apparent contradictions. She compares direct response against projective response. When they have asked direct questions, what they respond, after the projective techniques, what had happened, everything is calculated. He notes the consistent use of unusual words or phrases. She studies the explicit content. Explicit means normal content of the interview, and contemplated the meaning in relation to implicit, what is not told, what is not given in the front end. She tried to take those meaning deep into the inside meaning of that particular situation. She searches for what is not said as diligently as she does for what is said. Like a detective, she shifts to the clues and evidence to deduce the forces and motives influence consumer behavior. No one clue or piece of evidence is treated as being very important. It is convergence of evidence and fact that lead to significant conclusion. We do have all these evidence, all these works, we consider all these things together and get into some result. Okay. So after getting the content analysis, we go for cultural level analysis. The analysis begins at the cultural level. Cultural values and influences are ocean in which we swim and of which most of us are completely unaware. What we eat, the way we eat, how we dress, what we think and feel, the language we speak are dimension of culture. Very true, right? What we think and feel, it's very true, because in our Indian culture, when after marriage, the thing is that we are bound to hear what our husband says, and if they give the permission, then we are going to do it. We just, it's not that we inform them, we take the permission, and it is okay with our culture and we are very comfortable with it. But if you go out of our in our country and go out into a free country, not a free country, outside our country, you can see people are very independent. Independent means they take their own decision, they don't ask for anyone's permission. We are not, but in our culture we are not exposed to those type of freedom. So what we think, the freedom which we get now is the real freedom, but actually it's not the real freedom. That is what we feminism think about and talk about that, and we all cannot accept even those things, isn't it? In our culture it's important to get married after the age of 25, or maybe if it is 30 means the end of the world. These are all these cultural things, and there is where these matrimonial people come and influence our parents by making them what socially vulnerable. നമുക്ക് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ടെൻഷൻ തരും, ladies without marriage, oh my god, what will happen to them in the future. All these things will come into, these are the cultural level analysis. Okay, so this talk taken for granted cultural dimension are the basic building blocks that begins the motivators researchers analysis. Once cultural context is reasonably well understood, the next analytic step is exploration of the unique motivation that relates to the product's category. Okay, after understanding the cultural context, we go for what type of thing which should be implemented in the product so that the people or the consumers get attracted to that product. Basically we want to sell the product, for that we should develop that need and want towards our product. That is the basic work of a marketer. So this is the, after understanding the cultural context, we really do develop a product which satisfy all these requirements. So like what psychological needs Does the product fulfill? Does the product have any social overtones or anthropological significance? Does the product relate to one's status aspiration, to competitive drives, to feel of self-esteem, to security needs, everything? All these psychological needs are understood. Some of these motives must be inferred since respondents are often unaware of why they do what they do. Why do they do what they are doing? They really don't know, but the analysis is not complete. Often it is expected to have a quantitative study after motivational study to confirm the various points hypotheses found by the study. Yes, of course, after this depth interview and all this observation technique focus group, the study won't be complete because we don't have any statistical proof for what we are doing. It's just understanding a particular type of customer. For that, to make this study a general one, a bigger one, we should really have we have to form hypothesis for the study. We have to develop a quantitative study, then only we get the correct picture of the this requirements. Okay, so this is the end of our motivational research, and we come to the end of our third module here. Okay, hope everyone hear all these things, and if you have any doubts you can contact me and ask for any further queries. Thank you.